news updates online at 560theanswer.com. Now, from the Signature Bank studio.
Good morning, Dan Proft here. It's Climate Regulation Liberation Day. Another Liberation Day, an actual one. The EPA declared yesterday Liberation Day from climate imperialism, fighting back against the eco-supremacists by moving to repeal the 2009 so-called endangerment finding for greenhouse gas emissions, which will make it harder for feds to dictate what kind of car or lawnmower or the Biden era, washing machine, etc., that you can buy, among other benefits. EPA is proposing to undo what Congress never gave the agency authority to do, regulate greenhouse gases. This is really flying off of a Supreme Court decision from back in 2007 that greenhouse gases could qualify as pollutants under a capacious, as the journal writes, reading of the law. Therefore, the EPA must regulate them if it finds they endanger the public, and thus the endangerment finding was born that undergirds all these federal climate diktats that led to, according to EPA Chief Lee Zeldin's estimates, $1 trillion worth of regulations. The Energy Department on Tuesday published a comprehensive analysis of climate science and its uncertainties by 5 outside scientists. One of them is Steve Koonin, who served in the Obama administration. We've talked to before on the show. This is the scientific basis to liberate the country from these climate regulations. What they find, despite just as a quick aside on the science, because the left is full of men and women of science and data. This is something that you'll hear from Patrick Moore, the co-founder of Greenpeace. You'll hear from a lot of people who actually know what they're talking about, real climate scientists. Higher levels of CO2, carbon dioxide, in the air from fossil fuels won't make you sick. There's a distinction Democrats elide when they claim that increases in CO2 will cause dirtier air. Gavin Newsom has been saying as such, and that's just disinformation. The impact of CO2 on public welfare depends on its climate effects, which are uncertain and mediated by other variables like cloud cover. This is the sort of nuanced understanding of complicated multivariate issues that elides Democrats as well. While they're saying repealing the endangerment finding won't change anything because they inserted language into the Inflation Reduction Act, referring to greenhouse gas emissions as quote-unquote air pollutants, but it doesn't require or authorize the EPA to regulate greenhouse gases, and so Liberation Day is upon us. By the way, Zeldin continues to do bang-up work at EPA, including just the way that he provides routine updates of his progress. This is Zeldin just posting on X this week. $22 billion in grants terminated, $750 million in staff reduction, $18 million in real estate consolidation, $1 million in media subscriptions canceled. Sorry, Politico. $4 million in Biden EPA, $4 million Biden EPA museum, a museum tribute to a government agency. That's also been closed. I mean, this is what Zeldin is doing at EPA, in addition to applying the science in connection with regulations to the benefit of both stewardship of the planet and the economic vitality of the country. He's underappreciated, but Lee Zeldin is one of the stars of this administration thus far, in my estimation. For more on this and other matters, pleased to be joined by Steve Moore, economist and author of The Trump Economic Miracle and the Plan to Unleash Prosperity. Again, Steve, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Hey, good morning, Dan. And by the way, I don't know if you just heard the news. It just came across the transom that, did you hear the economic growth rate for the quarter?
I didn't. Tell me.
3%, baby.
Wow.
Who told you we could get to 3%? Remember, it was 6 months ago. Oh, my God, Donald Trump's going to cause a
recession.
The stock market's going to crash. So we got a really good number on GDP, much higher than all the, quote, experts. You were just talking about, quote, the experts. Well, the experts got this wrong, too. So it's a really good number for Trump. And you're exactly right, by the way. I was listening to your soliloquy about climate. I mean, it's amazing. You know more about climate change than most of these climate change scientists do. Carbon dioxide, I say this in every speech I've given for the last 25 years. Carbon dioxide is not a pollution. Let me say that again. It's not a pollution. You don't get sick from carbon dioxide. Now, you get sick from carbon monoxide. You can get sick from lead. You can get sick from coal, sulfur in the air, and those kinds of things. But this was a made-up, a crisis by the left to try to slow down capitalism and growth. That's all it's about.
Well, and attendant to this, too, as Lee Zeldin is well aware, this has been documented, but this is getting dried up because of some of the NGO funding that was cut, in part thanks to the Doge efforts, which are ongoing under Russ' vote. But the lawfare in the direction of climate regulation and tax on the fossil fuel industries and so forth, I mean, that is being peeled back, too, because we're not having the government fund the lawfare anymore as it was under the previous administration.
Well put. And look, I want people to understand what's going on in the last 25 years or so with this climate hysteria is all about money. It's about money. Globally, we've spent trillions of dollars. And by the way, it hasn't made one bit of difference. The only thing that's actually reduced carbon emissions is moving towards natural gas. All these other initiatives have only enriched a lot of people. I mean, there's a climate change industrial complex that is built up around the world. Many, many people getting very, very rich off this. It is not saving the planet. It's enriching themselves. Yeah,
but enough about Al Gore. Just on that 3% GDP growth in Q2. Yeah. I mean, that speaks. I know there'll be like, tariffs don't matter now, and trade balances do, and so forth. But the bottom line is, what Trump has done is sort of what we anticipated. He's getting to a place where, with our major trading partners, it is a little bit more advantageous to America, which is good. And the combination of the tax relief extended in the BBB plus this deregulation that's ongoing, across government, the whole of government. I mean, this is what creates an environment where people are willing to take productive risks.
Well, Trump is the businessman above all else, and he knows how things work. And Joe Biden didn't understand. He'd never worked in a job in his whole life. And it makes a difference. I mean, Trump is not a conservative like you and I are, but he is a common sense. Most of what we believe in is just common sense, right? Yeah. And so Trump gets it. And most of the things – now, listen, I want him to say something about tariffs because I'm not a tariff guy. I do think tariffs, can really hurt an economy for sure. But Trump – so far, at least, and it keeps me up at night. I get nervous about this, all this tariff talk, and he's talking about tariffs again this morning. But every time he talks about tariffs, Dan, if you notice what happens, the market goes down. Every time he gets one of these trade deals, the market goes up. And one of the most extraordinary things is what's happened this week, and watching that woman who runs the EU trade division make that deal with Trump. She's the same person. Remember 3 months ago, we're never gonna negotiate with Donald Trump. He's a tyrant. And there she was signing the deal. Yeah, because the Europeans need to trade with the United States.
Something else Trump trial ballooned in this vein this week. I wanted to get your reaction to. Here's the president.
We're thinking about that, actually. We have so much money coming in. We're thinking about a little rebate, but the big thing we want to do is pay down debt. But we're thinking about a rebate. That's a very good question. You just made a lot of news. We're thinking about a rebate because we have so much money coming in from tariffs that a little rebate for people of a certain income level might be very nice.
And Josh Hawley, senator from Missouri, heard that, took it and ran with it, and has filed legislation for a $600 tariff rebate to people that would be, tiered based on income level and so forth.
Yeah, no, that's a terrible, terrible idea because, if you're going to have a tariff, you're going to raise the revenue. It should be used to, reduce the other taxes, not to – what you're essentially doing, I mean, if you had Arthur Laffer on, run out Steve Moore right now, he'd be saying, look, how are you going to make the economy better by just writing people a check? that doesn't
a one-time check, right?
Make the country rich by writing everybody checks. That would be a wonderful thing. So it's a look. There's an example where Trump is most of his good. Sometimes he comes with bad ideas, and that's a bad idea.
Yeah, and by the way, Josh Hawley has become quite the economic populist all of a sudden between federal minimum wage increases and stimulus checks. I mean, what's this guy doing?
And Medicaid, everybody should be getting Medicaid.
Yeah,
and all
right.
And worst of all, he is against right to work laws.
Mm-hmm.
He wants to that's not a Republican position. I'm very nervous about Josh Hawley. But look, for all, sometimes I can be critical of him. The economy really is on a nice.
Yeah.
Low unemployment. We've got record high. There's 8 million job openings today in America. We've got the S&P 500 and the Nasdaq are crashing, folks. As the critics said, they're at record highs. So the Democrats, have you noticed, they're kind of running out of things to complain about.
I wanted to get to the site that you advertised last week and is now active.
Yes.
Now it's live. VoteWithYourFeet.net.
Yes.
Looking at out-migration, in-migration across the 50 states over the last 10 years. And I understand from Governor Pritzker in Illinois that Illinois is a growing state that is attracting people and jobs. Is that what you found?
Look, as I think all of your listeners know, I hail from the great city of Illinois. I think Chicago is one of the world's greatest cities. So I hate to report to you all in the great city of Chicago that Illinois had the third largest out-migration of people. Illinois is losing billions and billions of dollars every year when people move out. And it's depopulating the state, and it's also causing so much money to leave. Your tax base is being destroyed. There are 4 states that just are the huge losers in this. And by the way, people should go to the website. It's up. We spent 2 years putting this together. It's called VoteWithYourFeet.net. VoteWithYourFeet.net, and you can click. What I want your listeners to do is click on Illinois, okay, Dan, and then click on some other state like Texas. I don't know if you're your computer right now. Click on Illinois and then click on Texas, and we'll show you with moving bans how many people are moving out of Illinois to Texas and how much money they're taking with them. And it is going to impoverish Illinois if this continues. By the way, do you know what the state that had by far the most in-migration of people and money?
Florida.
Florida had $200 billion of new income coming to their state on net. That is the amount of money that came into the state minus the number of money that left the state. $200 billion. Do you know what state was number 2, Dan?
I'm going to say Texas.
You got it, my friend. Illinois, just those 2 states have imported $300 billion of money, and it's happening year after year after year. Illinois keeps raising their taxes. It's the crime, it's the regulation, it's the anti-business initiatives. Come on, how about getting a new leader of the state? I mean, are the people of Illinois really going to reelect Pritzker? I mean, Pritzker's been a total disaster.
I hear you, man. I hear you. And by the way, Brandon Johnson.
I'm a Bears fan.
Yeah.
If the Bears, went 0-15 for 4 straight years, don't you think maybe you'd hire a new coach?
Maybe. I don't know about the Bears. I mean, that's an open question too. It's sort of like the Illinois electorate, the Bears front office. But it's interesting. You'll want to take note. Brandon Johnson is dealing with a $1 billion budget deficit, and he is proposing that the 127,000 millionaires in Chicago and the 25 billionaires in Chicago, put more skin in the game, as he would say.
Yeah, come on. Yeah,
and
they pay their fair share. They have to pay their fair share.
Right. And for people to say, well, aren't you afraid that they'll leave? It's like they're not going anywhere. Nobody's leaving.
He said that?
That's what he said.
Oh, I got to get the quote. I mean, because in Chicago is, tell Ken Griffin that, right? Ken Griffin was worth $40 billion.
Yeah, except him. He left. Yeah.
So it's you need free enterprise. Texas and Florida are two states that have no income tax at all. Do you think it's a coincidence that that's where everybody is going? Taxes matter, folks. I know you got liberals and conservatives who listen to your show. You're never going to make Illinois a rich state by raising taxes. It's never happened anywhere at any time.
Yeah, and even those well-heeled leftists recognize that and utilize the mobility that comes with the money that they have. I mean, this folly that people just stay here and take it because they have such affinity for the city and the state. They can have affinity for the city and the state part-time and from a distance.
So, let me give you an analogy of what's going on in New York City, because as you know, they've got a big election coming up there where they want to elect their own Brandon Johnson, but I think this guy is an avowed socialist. And if that happens, because did you know there's more financial services jobs now in Dallas, Texas than New York City, the home of Wall Street?
Yeah.
So my point is, if New York elects a socialist, Wall Street, in my opinion, will be gone. Wall Street will be in Dallas or it will be in Miami. It's good. You go to Wall Street today, Dan. I don't know the last time you went to New York City. It's sad. Wall Street's a ghost town.
Well, it's funny because it's the same thing with the financial district in Illinois that Brandon Johnson wants to turn into a ghetto. Everybody is waiting for the exchanges to leave here and take a lot of insurance and banking with them, which would be another hit to the city. But, there's just right now, there's just a commitment to the death spiral.
Here's the solution. Raise taxes on the rich. That'll work. Hey, why didn't they think that before?
Right. Stephen Moore, economist.
It's laughable. They keep raising taxes on the rich, and then there are no more rich people.
Yeah, what you tax, you get less of. I guess that was not learned where they matriculated. Economist and author Steve Moore. Thanks, as always, Steve. Appreciate it.
Before you see it on TV, share it on Facebook, or read about it in the paper. Hear it here first. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Healthcare is complicated. It doesn't have to be. If you don't love how your health insurance works, maybe it's time to leave traditional health insurance behind. Take charge of your healthcare with Christian Healthcare Ministry.